All right. Cool. So remember that this is written in the form y equals k minus a cosine, and it looks like right now it's bx minus c. And remember, I'm going to, in order to do this the right way, I'm going to say k minus a cosine b in the front times x minus c over b. Okay? Alright, so let's rewrite that first. So I'm going to say y equals 1 minus 2 cosine. Now b is actually pi over 2 times x minus pi over 2. On a side note, pi divided by pi over 2 is the same as pi divided by pi over 2 is the same as pi times the reciprocal of 2 over pi. Why does that matter? Because pi divided by pi is just 1. 1 times 2 is just 2. So I got to rewrite this whole thing again. And I say pi y equals 1 minus 2 cosine of pi over 2 times x minus 2. So then k is a positive 1. That means we're going to shift the whole thing up 1 unit. My amplitude a is negative 2. So that means that we're going to flip, and it has an amplitude of 2. My b term is pi over 2, and that affects the period. And then c over b equals negative 2, which means I'm going to shift it to the right 2 units. Okay? Now, when I do this stuff by hand on paper, and maybe I should hook up my document camera and do it by hand on paper, usually I sketch out one transformation at a time, and I end up with like real light with my pencil. And I end up with because you're going to do 4 things to transform the parent function, and then the last transformation is the actual graph. So I want to, I don't know how to do this. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how to do that best and leave it in the notes. But if I draw 4 graphs with 4 different colors, that would be very confusing. So, anyways, let's just kind of, I'll do stuff in yellow. So I know that my amplitude is going to be 2. So normally, if I have 1 and 2 and somewhere up here is 3, normally I would draw a dotted line here at 2, and then down here at negative 2, that would be where my graph would live. But because k is 1, that means I'm going to shift it up 1. So that means that my function cosine will live between 3 and negative 1. Also, the middle of that should be 2 units away in both directions. In other words, if I count, this is 1, 2 units. That's my amplitude, right? 2. And then from here, I'm going to go 1, 2 units. Okay, cool. We took care of A and K. Now, I got to calculate the period. So my period is going to be the period P. We'll do that in blue. P, well, no, let's do green. P is equal to 2 pi over B. But that would be 2 pi over pi over 2. That's the same as 2 pi multiplied by the reciprocal, right? Because we're technically dividing by pi over 2, so we would multiply by the reciprocal, which would be 2 over pi. My pi's cancel. Boink, boink. Okay. Get that out of here. And so my period is actually 4. So that means if I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, this is 4. I would start for cosine, it starts at the top, right? And I would come down and around and back up by 4. And then if I go over here, 1, 2, 3, negative 4. That's how I would do that, right? Oh, and don't forget I got to flip it because I have this negative 2. But C over B is negative 2, so that means I'm going to shift this whole thing over 2 units. So now this is going to go 5, and somewhere over here would be 6. And instead of it starting at 0, it would actually start at 2. Same thing over here. I would shift this over 2 units. So from here, if I were to do 2 whole periods, it should fit between negative 2 and positive 6. Okay? Alright, so I would start here normally, right? But because this is negative, I should start down here. Okay? So this is the tricky part. I have to be up here at the top between the middle. So 1, 2, 3. So I think I need to be about here and then come back down by 6. So I just kind of go, you got to make that noise too as you guys are graphing. Okay. And same thing over here. I got to kind of go to the middle. So this would be 1, negative 1. So to go from 2 to 2, the middle would be here. So I'm going to go. And I can verify that too, because if it's a period of 4, to go from here to here should be 4 units. So my next little peak would be over here at negative 4, because it's 4 units away from 0. So I could, if I wanted to, I could just go one more little. And that's not perfect. Ugh, that's horrible, actually. So let's do this just a little bit better. And so when I graph that, that's what it should look like, right? So let's go ahead and actually, we'll just plug this into our graphing calculator. And hopefully this time Mr. Adams didn't make any mistakes. So we said that that was y equals 1 minus 2 cosine, shoot, what was that? Oh, did I delete it again? Why do I always do that? Alright, I'll fix that in a second. Thank you. pi over 2x. Oh, thank you. So then I have pi x, so I type pi x divided by 2. Was it minus pi? Is that what it was? Minus pi? Okay. Minus pi. So, negative 4, 3, 0, 3, 4, 3, and 2, comma, negative 1, and then 6, comma, negative 1. So let me just take a screenshot of that. No. And we'll put it in here somewhere. Okay, any questions on that one? So as we do this, how do you guys feel about this? Thumbs up if you're like, yay, I could do this all day, every day. So keep in mind when you do this, I'm going to let you use the graphing calculator to double check it. So really what you need to be able to do is algebraically get K, A, B, C over B correct and calculate the period. The graphing part is the hard part because you have to like think abstractly in your head. If I move this here and I move this there and I move this here. But the beauty of this is you could always plug it into the graph